Did it start? Oh, this Hang On Air is live. Okay, here we go. Can you feel it, fangirls and fanboys? Love is in the air. That's right. We're feeling a little romantic here in the Fan Cave. Corrigan Vaughn at your service, along with Kristin as always. But we're joined for only the second time ever by author Leah Rae Miller, who's not only going to engage in our pop culture battle of wits, but also talk to us about her brand spanking new book, Romancing the Nerd. We loved it. You'll love it. Love actually is all around. Hello, friend.
Yay!
Yay! Leah, we're glad that you're unmuted and joining us.
Yes.
I know. That was scary there for a second.
Well, it got a little hairy for a moment. We were having some microphone issues, but thankfully, apparently, there's a tech expert over in your house. So
yeah,
that's good.
I guess you could call him that. Brother. So I won't give him any compliments.
Naturally, yeah, you got to keep him humble. One of the fun things here, we normally record a little later, as people probably know. But Leah, you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, I do. There is no good internet connection. Plus, I have kids and am an old fogey, so I turn into a pumpkin at around 11.
Yeah,
wow,
that's
11. I'm like 9:30, so I don't know.
You can't take Kristin anywhere.
It's so true. It's so true.
We have an important question for you before we get started. I don't want to forget when we already had a question submitted for you.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently on your author page, you have a picture of David Tennant as your cover photo?
No, her personal page. Her personal Facebook.
Oh, on your personal page.
I thought that too, because I went to the author one. I was like, no, it's not. It's a picture of the book cover. But then I went to your personal, and it's a picture of David Tennant.
Okay, you have a picture of David Tennant. Our friend producer Bree wants to know, what is it from so she can watch it?
That is from a play he did with Catherine Tate. It was Much Ado About Nothing, but it was set. Yeah, it was set in the 80s, and it was amazing and so good, and everybody should go find it and watch it.
How do you find it? Like, do you even know how much we love Much Ado About Nothing?
I know, right?
This is huge news.
Huge news.
There's a website called digitaltheater.com, and they have copies of British plays. Like, this was on stage.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a game changer.
That is a game changer.
I got it. Yeah.
Leah, look at this. You're changing lives.
I try.
Oh my gosh.
Indeed.
That's amazing. I'm so excited.
Pretty stoked on this.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get right into it. I think first and foremost, Kristin has already expressed to you how much she loved the book. I loved the book. For those listening at home, if you missed the first time that Leah was on our show, she also wrote a book called This Summer I Became a Nerd, which Kristin and I geeked out on, and immediately, first thing, tweeted at Leah to get her on the show because we were like, we need to talk about how much we love this. And I think both of us have lent it to just about everyone we know. And had them read
I stole your copy, and I have not lent it to anybody. I just tell people to go buy it.
I forgot I had to buy a new copy.
Like that.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit worried that if I lend it, then the same thing will happen to me that happened to you. And so I just tell people, like, oh, you guys should read it. I don't have a copy because I borrowed my friend's, a.k.a. I
sit behind your back.
Yeah, I am not as nice as Logan is in the book. If you read it, you get that joke. I won't lend it to you. But I do tell people to read it. I was just telling my friend today to read it. Yes, I stole your copy. So thank you, Corey, for lending it to me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So I guess I just bought a new copy after that, and I've let that one a few times out. And so this next book is sort of a loose sequel
companion.
Summarize.
That's what I called it, a companion, right?
That's
because
what
you
I like
technically don't have to read the first one.
Right.
And I will say this, I like that you call it companion, and then it actually does allude to the first book a little bit, even though, like, without spoiling, you don't have to have read the first one. I mean, you obviously should read the first one, but you don't have to read it to get the second one. But I like it because one time I read the companion book to The Giver, and it had nothing to do with The Giver, and I was very mad because I assumed it would, like, at least refer to it or have some kind of little Easter eggs or something, anything, and it didn't. So I'm glad that you called it a companion. You're actually, like, is a companion, as in they, like, go hand in hand, but they're kind of stand on their own.
Using words correctly. Is what we're saying here.
Yes.
So, Leah, why don't you tell us a little bit about the book first and foremost, and then we'll start talking to you and bringing up the things we want to discuss about it.
Well, it's about Dan, who was in the first book. He was Logan's best friend in the first book. And in the first book, he was this really nerdy, oh, man. And what happens is he goes through a growth spurt, and he becomes actually good at basketball. So his dad wants him to be like an athlete, and so he does that. He also had a best friend, Zelda, who is the other main character in the book, and they kind of had a falling out, and now Zelda's like, can't stand that guy so hard, and so she hatches a plot for revenge on him by setting up this like fake online account to get some kind of dirt on him, and we go from there.
Shenanigans ensue,
and everything goes perfectly smoothly and exactly as she planned, and everything's happily.
Obviously, it
of course not.
Obviously. So good. What is that note? I don't know, but I like it because I feel like it happens on weird times, like when you press play or you send my name. Something. You send my name, and I'm like, yes, of course I'll begin now. This is so wonderful. Actually, so my first question is funny because at first I was going to ask you if you were going to call it a companion, a sequel, or a spin-off, but we've already answered that, so we can go on. What made you want to give Dan his own story? Like, did you always kind of want to do that, or did you get feedback that was like, Dan's amazing? Because I did love him in the first book. I thought he was so funny and hilarious.
Yeah, that was it. I got many people going, Dan's the best, and I'm in the best. And I knew I wanted to write. I kind of really wanted to continue writing with these characters, and he just seemed like the natural choice because everybody loved him so much.
Yeah. And nerds tend to get a little attached to people in books, as it turns out. So I can only imagine how much feedback you got on Dan after the first one.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, Dan the man, he's the best.
Yeah.
And I was like, awesome.
When you were writing the first one, were you kind of thinking, because he's kind of, if I'm thinking, he was kind of the only-ish character that had, I don't know, that was still kind of like in that world and had had like a prominent-ish role toward give you, like, make people like him enough, you know? So when you were writing it, were you thinking like, okay, this is the guy that I'll use, or were you just kind of like waiting to see if people liked him or not?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Okay.
I wrote him as he was kind of inspired by, the Pretty in Pink, the movie.
Of course.
The nerd kid in that who gets panties and goes to the bathroom. And,
the Anthony Michael Hall character.
Charges. Yes, him. And so, I wasn't looking at him as a romantic character at all for another book, but after a little while, I saw his story kind of develop.
Awesome. Now, I love Zelda. Were you a big Zelda fan growing up? Is that how you came up? Is that why you named her that, or was that just
an F. Scott Fitzgerald fan?
Oh, see, I was thinking
no,
not
yours is closer.
F. Scott Fitzgerald. No, it was video games. I played the first Zelda, and that's why her last name is Potts, because Link goes around breaking pots the whole time.
That, like, never crossed my mind. That's hilarious.
Me neither. That's so good.
That was an idea of my critique partner. She was like, oh, because she loves Zelda. And played all the games and stuff, and she's like, you should call her Potts. She likes Potts. And I was like, okay.
That's amazing. That's so cute. I know. I love that. Now,
wait,
also,
hold on one sec. I just want to cut in, as the writery side of me always wants to ask these questions. You said a critique partner. Is that usually like how you write? You have sort of one person who's your like initial beta person you go back and forth with over things, or like when you write, who do you interact with in the process aside from publisher and editor and all that?
Right. Well, I interact a lot with my husband. He is my sounding board. He will listen to me, even though nice. I'm not making any sense and just rambling. But he'll just patiently wait and listen. But the other person is my critique partner, Stephanie Gaither, who has published her second book should be coming out soon.
Oh, great.
But yeah, we've been friends for years. Ever since I first got into writing and found someone who we got along and we had a similar sense of humor. We've gone on retreats together with a bunch of other writers that we're good friends with. And yeah, we stay in contact like daily.
Oh, that's
daily.
Great.
It's like, hey, dude, what's up? You know. So she's my sounding board.
Excellent way. Yeah, that seems so great. Anyways, Kristin, back to what you were saying.
Okay, and then I wanted to know. So I love also how this book you switch the perspectives between Zelda and Dan, which I thought is so much fun because there's definitely
and they have different voices, which I love.
Really do. And it, like, in my head, it changes, right? I'm reading it, and then all of a sudden it, like, switches in my head, which I love, love, love. Wait, there was one more thing I was going to gush about. Oh, because there's definitely been times when you're reading a book and you're like, oh my gosh, so great. I wonder what the other person's thinking at this very moment, you know? And that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to know what the other person's thinking at this very moment, which was so wonderful. So what made you want to do that? And how was that to write kind of like two different perspectives? Because like Corey said, it is two very different voices. So I bet that was kind of a fun little thing to be able to switch mindsets for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different than what I was used to writing. And it was tough sometimes because I did want them to have two different voices. I didn't want them to sound the same. So it was tough, but I thought it helped the story along. I thought it worked well with the story. So
definitely.
Especially when you think about like high school and everything, it's like everything is just so emotional and crazy all the time and things like that. And it's one of the things like when people were worried about, which I think they did a good job with, but adapting Hunger Games into movies, it's that people were always like, everything is so in her head in this, you know? And so like when you have someone who's like a teenager trying to go through life in general, that knowing what they're thinking is so important to it. And I love that. And another thing I loved about the book, too, is that it doesn't have... My biggest pet peeve in a lot of romantic things is a conflict that could be solved in a single conversation. You know?
Yeah.
And throughout this book, your two romantic leads are constantly in conversation with each other, and it's more of like an internal struggle with Zelda, with like her own trying to figure out like, I harbor these grudges and things, and I'm hurt in some way that doesn't allow me to just like get over it. You know, so that was one of the things I really appreciated reading this book, was that it wasn't just like the entire time I was like, guys.
Yeah. I know that exact thing. Like if it's going to take one conversation, one or two back and forth for them to solve everything, I kind of feel like the whole time I'm just like, God, just talk about it. Yeah. And
exactly.
I don't know. I felt like there were so many different things and so many different feelings going on in both of their lives that it would have taken at least two conversations, at least three.
And another thing that this brings up for me, which I wonder about, sort of, I guess it's what, if you're writing the kind of thing that you would like to see in a romance, I guess is sort of what I'm getting at, but that you choose to, and I'm not going to give away the ending or anything, but sort of to keep in line with Dan's character, not have him go beast mode on the situation, essentially, you know. So he actually reacts to, you know, finding the things that she's been holding against him and all this kind of stuff in a way that's very constructive. Instead of just like burn it all down and let me be just as terrible as I feel like she's been being, or things like that. So when you wrote the book, how important to you was it that he reacted in a way that wasn't so, you know, maybe men's rights activist-y, and instead was kind of nice about the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, he was based on two of my friends that I actually know. Well, I knew back when we were LARPing, when we were playing Vampire. And they were both really smart guys, and they were considerate of female feelings, you know. They were feminists. I think I'd call them feminists.
Sure. And Dan's definitely a feminist.
Yeah. I hope so. So I just kind of had to sit there and think, what would Andrew and Joy have done in this situation? So I wanted him to be considerate of what she was going through and how she felt.
Yeah, and this leads to two sort of very different conflicts in LARPing between your first book and your second book, where, you know, one kind of has like the fighting the big bad almost, and then one is a little, well, it's different. I don't want to give anything away.
I know, it's so hard because I'm like.
Sorry.
I want to talk about every aspect of it.
I know, I do, because sorry, I didn't get to say it because you guys went off on you guys were talking, which is fine. Obviously, you're supposed to do that. But I just want to go back really quick to say this one thing that I think I can do in a covertish way. There was a point when we were talking about like their different perspectives, even when like knowing what they both felt about each other. There was this part where like Zelda, like she's explaining this episode that had happened at one point, where she's kind of adding it to her like list of things that she's mad at, you know, hates about Dan. She's like, oh, and this one time, and she's like kind of like explaining the scenario, and I'm like, that's not what was happening there. Like, that's not what he was doing. And I'm him right now, and I know that's not what happened. And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually so cute. That was cute, and you missed it. You missed how cute that was, because she was like all thinking about it. Which I think that, I don't know if that was helpful enough and you to know what part I'm talking about. And I obviously don't want to give it away, but I was like, oh my god, it was so great. I just like melted onto the floor. It was so good.
How do you write teenagers so well? I mean, your kids aren't teenagers. None of us are teenagers, you know, but we kind of remember it. But I'm curious as to how you get inside their heads, and how you have an old diary of yours you like reference back to or something.
I'm mentally stuck in high school. That's what it is.
Or that.
I don't know. I just remember high school being so formative, and I remember having so many feelings that it was so hard to express then. Mm-hmm. But now that I've had a lot of time to analyze it and all this other stuff, I can realize what I was feeling then and try to put it on the paper.
What do you hope that when like teenage girls read this, and teenage boys specifically, but I think because we look back and we see our own selves and things like that. Like when a teenage girl reads your book, what do you hope that she sort of gets out of it and can apply? I mean, obviously it's not meant to be like here's a handbook for high school, but what would you hope that a teenage girl would get out of your books?
Well, it was like the first one. The first one, the theme just kind of happened organically. The whole be yourself, don't worry about anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I hope that this one, the theme, what I think is the theme, happens organically too, in that, yes, be yourself, but also realize that other people are going through stuff. Mm-hmm. Other people are trying to be themselves too. So you should just, give people a break sometime. Maybe open your ears and listen to what they're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah, I think that that's an important thing, and I always wonder. I mean, when it comes to high school or middle school too, because that's really rough. But we all watch the same movies. We read a lot of the same books, and you'd think that like kids would know to give each other a little slack. Like we've all seen what people are going through. But I think sometimes maybe on a level like this book where it's a little more real. It doesn't feel like a big story. It's a small story that's very much about these characters' emotions. That that kind of thing can maybe appeal to teenagers in that sense.
Yeah, I didn't want to beat anybody over the head with like, you should be this way.
Yeah.
Here's an adult telling you what to do.
Right.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to come out naturally and be a quiet lesson, something to think about.
And I think one of the like great characters in there that you do that with really well is the sort of like jock bully character in it, who like basically just like hasn't really thought through what he's doing and
douchebag Donovan.
Yeah.
As soon as it sort of occurs to him like, oh, that's pretty sucky, is like all of a sudden like, yeah, I should probably do something about that.
Okay, I get that. Yeah. Hopefully that comes through.
Yeah, the idea that basically people of all stripes can be the bullies for a minute, they can be good people, they can think about it, they can restructure the way that they live their lives. I think that's ultimately very positive. It's not just like the geeks are really nice and everybody, they do everything right and the jocks are the bullies,
Yeah.
I kept thinking that, I don't know where it's from, but it's like, you don't know my life? It was from some comedy. But it's like, you don't know my life? That's...
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's from, but anyway.
I don't know. But I get,
Yeah. Something, because I feel like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've seen that. When they're like, you know my life? And I'm like, yeah, you don't. Yeah. What is that from? And it's from probably a million things, I'm sure, but we're probably all thinking of something separate, a different scene in our head of that.
Right.
Yeah. Which is
At this point, it's from pop culture. That's it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny because, well, not funny, but like for me reading it as like an adult, I guess I'm supposedly an adult, right?
You're 30 now, Kristin.
I am 30 now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am. I forgot. I already forgot. That those themes, like while this takes place in a high school with these high school kids, and these should, I think, Corey, you're right, lessons that we should have maybe learned in high school and that we haven't learned yet. Because I'm thinking like, oh, if only like the people that I knew now, we could remember. Like, to me, it was even a good reminder of like that person who I'm like super annoyed at. I'm like at work. I'm like, you know what? I should maybe not be so quick to just be like, F that guy, because I'm like, maybe he has got some stuff going on that I don't know about, and I should try to be, more understand, whatever. So even for me, it was a good reminder of that, in like a subtle way of not being, you're right, Leah, it wasn't like, hey, this is how your life should leave. It's like, no, it's like, it's common sense, and that should be something I know, but we so often forget it even now. And so that's what I loved about it too, is it's not like a theme that was like only for high school kids, like make sure you're nice to your teachers, it's not like that kind of lesson. It's like, no, this is like a life lesson just told through the eyes of these high school kids, which I think you're right, because it's so far back, I can look back and be like, oh yeah, with this like kind of nostalgia, and it's, I don't know, it was just, anyway, I know, I'm just a gusher. I just gush. I don't even ask questions. I'm like, and let me just tell you how much I love you so much. Which is kind of not really constructive or helpful. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I love it.
Oh, good.
Good.
Oh, good.
This is because I want to hear, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I told Corey, so, Leah had given us kind of a copy to read before she came on, and so it was on, Corey emailed it to me, but I don't have internet at my house right now either, not because I live in the middle of nowhere, just because the internet company is being ridiculous. And I was like distraught because I'm like, oh, I can't read it at home because I don't have my computer, I don't have the internet. I was so bummed, and I was at work. I'm like, well, I'll just read like a little bit just to kind of hold me over until
as soon as she said this, I was sitting there thinking like, no, you won't.
Do that. And then I emailed Corey, but I messaged you, like a half an hour later, I was like, oh my god, that was a mistake. I'm like 150 pages in and I can't stop. I have so much work to do. And people are walking by my desk and I'm just looking at my computer like with this goofy smile on my face. And I was like, I don't have time to be doing this. So finally, I brought my laptop into work. I downloaded it like onto the desktop so that I could go home and read it because I was like, this is out of control. I really need to get a life and get back to work doing the thing they actually pay me for.
Yep. And because Kristin is anti-e-readers, she doesn't have a Kindle or anything to transfer it on like a normal person. So.
Yeah, I don't do that.
No, she doesn't.
So that's what I'm here for. Keeping you from working and making that money.
Exactly.
Distracting you at work.
I know. It's why I have to steal books from people because I can't afford them. I can't make money because I'm not doing work I'm supposed to. Oh my gosh. And then also just let's go back kind of as like little writing, I guess, not style but methods and stuff. You recently got a thesaurus, which I saw you were very excited about.
I love that thing so much.
I loved the excitement level. Have you found like a word in it that you're like, yep? Or do you make like a list of them? You're like, these are ones I need to like incorporate, or how is that helping you as you kind of write forward or go forward?
So many. I'm trying not to keep it next to me while I draft, I just first draft a novel, because I can see myself going, well, that's not the word I want. Let me get lost in my thesaurus. And then time goes by, and I've written like 10 words. Did you?
Your thesaurus is basically what the internet is for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of us Facebook. You have a thesaurus.
I tweeted about this one word. Did you see the cry of a newborn baby?
Yes, it was something weird though. What was the word?
Vagitus.
Wait, what?
Vagitus. And I was like, I want to use it, but I feel so dirty. I don't know. It's not. But
that feels like a trick. That feels like that's not true.
Congratulations on that new baby. What color hair did it have? How loud was its vagitus?
The thing is, I have multiple pregnant friends. I am 100%ing wanting to use this on them.
You get to say that. You get to say that when the baby's born,
right?
Because that's the first cry of a newborn baby.
Right. Well, what's great is because one of them's having a boy, so I feel like when I ask how loud was a vagitus, they'll be like, oh no, Kristin, we had a boy. And I'll be like, oh, I know.
It's like mastication all over again.
I'm obsessed with my thesaurus. It's like 1,200 pages. It has lists and quotes, and it's so gorgeous and sexy. I love it.
That's probably the first time the thesaurus has been used, the word sexy. At what point then in the, if you're not first draft, at what point do you maybe delve into the thesaurus's folds? I don't know.
Probably second draft. I won't be able to hold myself back. I'll do thesaurus.
I'll just look at one page. Don't do just one page, Leah. Okay, it doesn't work that way.
I know.
Take it from Kristin. You won't get anything done.
Don't look at just one page of it. It's not gonna happen. So wait, when exactly does the book actually come out?
Oh, yeah.
April 5th.
Oh, next week.
In a week.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's my brother's birthday. I'm gonna get him a copy.
It's my mom's birthday.
Nice.
Crazy.
Everybody, romantic the nerd for everyone.
Yes. Copies all around. I'll just lend it to someone and then it becomes theirs. I don't even have to gift it.
Corey just is like your best seller because she has to keep buying copies because no one ever gives hers back to her.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And for those, I just feel like it's worth mentioning the story again. I told it the first time Leah was on here, but the greatest thing about this was how happenstance it was that I came across this, because it was literally like I was waiting for something and wandered into Barnes & Noble and walked by a shelf, saw the cover and was like, huh, and picked it up and purchased it. And that was it. So I love when you have those little moments of serendipity when it comes to finding something that you end up loving later on.
So walk into a bookstore, you guys, and sometimes judge a book by its cover, because it does have. The first one does have. I actually really like the second one too. Of just they're very similar but different. I don't know, and I love.
Are we gonna get more from this group of people, or is this high school saga done?
At the moment, I don't have any plans.
All
Not
right.
any solid plans.
This is a very political answer, Leah.
I know. I can't rule out that. I mean,
What if we all want one about the bullying jock now and kid life?
Apparently everybody's like, I want more of douchebag Donovan, and I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was at an important point, you know, he was reaching it.
He'd reached a crossroads.
Yeah, he reached kind of a crossroads in his life.
Mm-hmm.
See, y'all can't do this to me because I'll start plotting the book and
we're ready for it. We're ready to dive back in.
We just don't want to leave it behind. I still haven't figured out how to pronounce the name of the town, so...
Oh, that's true. How do you pronounce your town's name?
How do you pronounce your town's name?
Natchitoches.
Nope.
Oh my gosh! I was so off. What were you saying, Corey?
Like Natchitoches or something? I don't know.
That's what most people say, Natchitoches. Like,
yeah, that's how... Say it again.
Phonetical.
Yeah.
Some people make a joke and say nasty toe cheese.
Gross.
That's funny. Okay, so it's
one of those. It's a kind of a Cajun French.
Wow.
Natchitoches.
Natchitoches. Natchitoches. I'm writing it out phonetically. I'm gonna write it.
So that now when you read it, you.
So I can go back. Natchitoches.
I feel like it's like Hermione and all the many ways people read Hermione.
Yeah, it was like I was on book like 3 when someone finally released it. This is how you pronounce everything in Harry Potter. And I was like, I was saying half of those things wrong. That's great. Cool.
Incredible, man! That is
Natchitoches.
I don't even know how to.
There's a lot of towns like that in Louisiana.
Yeah.
A lot of towns.
I'm from Massachusetts. I can't really, talk because that's how most of ours are as well. But that was a good one. You threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good one. Well done. Now, would you say that some of the things... Now, do you guys actually have, like, a Christmas festival that's very similar to how you described it in the book? Is that, like, all just based on things that actually happen?
Yep.
That is
Every year.
Fun. That is so fun. I feel like...
We're coming out, Leah. We're coming to
this. Fun if you live here.
Right? It's like you, like, want to come and, like, see the lights on the river. And it's like...
It's very pretty. Yeah.
It's so fun. It reminds me...
Oh, we lost Kristin.
No, I was coughing. I know. It reminds me a little bit of One Tree Hill. That's where I kind of like imagine like the Riverwalk and like the lights on the, obviously because I relate everything in my life to One Tree Hill at some point.
Everything comes back to One Tree Hill.
It does. It's just cyclical. That's just how everything happens.
And if you want to see the town, just watch Still Magnolias.
Oh, that's right. So it really was filmed there.
Julia Roberts and Shirley MacLaine. Yeah.
Now, is it supposed to take place there? Is that the name of the town in it?
What is it?
Is that where it's supposed to take place, or do they call it something else?
I'm not sure. I think that's where it's, but I haven't seen it in forever. Because I live here, and that's people talk about it all the time.
Right.
Well, it's too sad to watch like on a regular basis. You don't want to watch it. I remember, someone gave it to me as a gift. I think it was a Froberg. Corey, and I watched it. I was like, I love all these people. And then I'm like weeping uncontrollably. I was like, why would you give this to someone as a present? Shelby. Yeah, it's kind of mean if you think about it. I was like, did you not like me? Or...
Yeah.
Well, Kristin, do you have any more questions, or should we engage in some trivia?
Oh my gosh, no.
Oh, Letty is dying. This is a very sad day. Just past her 30th birthday, she expires.
I know. Well, so Michelle on my wall wrote, hey, like, congratulations on your last trip around the sun. I was like, oh. And I think I heard it at first. I was like, oh, thanks. And then she went back. She's like, that was supposed to say latest. And I looked at it. I was like, oh, my gosh, this is last. What are you trying to say to me?
Yikes. It's like that one time I went to go take a flight, and then like all the signs were Final Destinationing me.
Well, yeah, didn't Corey? Didn't Keo send you a text that said, "I loved you"?
I loved you. This was Leah. I don't like flying. It's not my favorite thing in the world. And I was on my way. I can't remember if it wasn't South Africa, but I was going somewhere, And so Keo's dropping me off at the airport, and I'm like stressed out more than usual, maybe because it's early in the morning. But it was like John Denver played on the radio, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. And then I changed the channel, and it was like another song that's lyrics were like, and I'll never see her again. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. And so I turn off the radio, and we get to the airport, and, you know, Keo drops me off, and he texts me when he gets back home, I loved you. I was like, oh my God! Oh my
Thanks
God.
a lot, jerk.
He was like, oh, that's not what I meant. I was like, it's too late. You can't take it back. It was terrifying.
Oh man.
Anyways,
That is really
you guys
funny.
in the mood for some trivia? How's that sound?
Yeah, let's trivia it up.
Trivia it up. Leah may be at a disadvantage living internet free, but I feel like it's gonna be okay.
I've also been sort of internet free, so maybe we're kind of on the same
This is
plane.
true.
Yeah,
Leveling it out.
And
First
I've been,
thing I'm
like,
gonna need from you
Watching
is
Cinderella on
buzzers.
repeat for the past week, so that's basically, if it's not going to be about the cast of Cinderella, I might not know the answer to.
The answer is always Cinderella. I need buzzer noises from each of you. So, and Leah's got a little bit of a delay, so I'll have to give her some leeway. But,
Okay.
Leah, your buzzer sound.
What, just like with my mouth? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
that's my buzzer sound.
Perfect. Kristin, your buzzer sound.
My buzzer sound is going to be rang.
I love it. I'm into it.
So
Let's
much
get this
better
thing
than
started.
mine.
She does this every week, and, you know, that helps. Okay.
I feel like I have
Here
to
we
pick
go.
a new one. So, and my voice is already kind of deep, so I didn't want to try and go high. So I'm going to go. I already got my like Phoebe Buffet,
Smart.
sexy, smelly cat voice.
I was going to say the same thing, Phoebe Buffet.
See?
Your brains with the same place. Okay,
Yep.
ready for question one?
Yeah.
Here we go. The reviews of Tom Hiddleston's new biopic, I Saw the Light, may be on the dismal side, but the press tour is expectedly wonderful. With which late-night talk show host did Hiddles perform an impromptu rendition of the title song?
Rang.
It never gets old for me listening to these buzzer sounds. I think Kristin was the first in on it. So Kristin, suck it to me.
I only watched this on repeat today. Oh my gosh, him and Stephen Colbert were completely
He played
adorable.
the spoons.
The
He played the spoons.
You guys, so I watched it and then I just kept it open on my browser. And then anytime there was nobody in my, because I kind of share an office, anytime they left, I just backed it up to the point where he was like, the middle part where he's like, oh, will you sing a song? And Tom's like, no, you should see the movie. And Stephen's like, okay, we'll see about that. And then he kind of gets, like, and you know, I think if you guys don't watch Stephen Colbert, you should. If you don't know anything about him, he has a lovely singing voice
He does, yeah.
already. So
He
he's
sang
already
with Violet
like,
Femmes a couple weeks
yeah.
ago.
So he's already like a great singer, and so he's kind of like prompting Hiddles with this like, he's like, you know, kind of pretending like he doesn't know the words to the song a little bit, and Tom just goes, oh, and you're like, yes, he's done it. And they sing this beautiful just duet, and it's magical, and they're looking at each other. I'm like shipping them halfway through. I'm like, oh my god, I want them to make out. I don't know why. It's like they're just staring into each other's eyes and singing this song, and they're like, the look on both of their faces is just pure joy and golden wonderment and loveliness, and it just all was right, and my heart felt so full. I thought it was gonna burst. It just, I just loved every second of it.
Leah, did you get to watch it?
I haven't watched it, but I've seen so many like articles on it pop up on Facebook. So I knew that.
Yeah, it was pretty magical.
It was
And
just,
I think our friend, producer Bree, had said something about like how he manages to look like embarrassed, but then like still,
So-
you know, super charming.
well, Bree actually was talking about a different video. So there was two videos that were circulating. So there's one where he sings "I Saw the Light," and then there's another one where Stephen brings to Tom's attention that he has his Tom Hiddleston's butt has its own hashtag, and it's
I
Hiddles
believe
bum.
his English countryside is.
Yeah, his English countryside, as he calls it. And so the interview, there's this other little interview. So watch both of these, Leah, when you get a chance.
Yes.
And there's
I
two.
will.
So there's
that-
like the longer version, and then there's this little short clip of him talking about Hiddlesbum. That's so wonderful because they're like, he's talking about like, oh, you're a classically trained actor, and he's like, well, actually, you know, at this Royal Acting Academy that he went to, they have a kind of a section where you have to kind of be comfortable being naked. And he's like telling this whole story, and Bree was right. He's like, Tom's kind of telling the story, and, like pretending like he's embarrassed about it, but I'm like, he is not embarrassed about it. Like he is owning it, and it is beautiful.
It's so great.
And that movie, I Saw the Light, was filmed in Shreveport, which is like an hour from me.
You're
I almost,
basically in Hollywood of the South, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm close to it. And I almost went Hiddlestalking.
Oh my gosh!
But
didn't you?
I restrained myself.
Oh,
I restrained myself.
Leah, you were within an hour of Tom Hiddleston.
I know, for like a month or however long it took them to film the movie.
That's
my husband even like sent, because they were looking for musicians to be in, in the movie, and my husband plays a bunch of instruments. He plays guitar really well, and I was like, I saw that, and I was like, babe, you have to send them your resume. And he's like, no, and I was like, yeah. Because what if you get in the movie, then we could, I could meet Tom Hiddleston. This could happen.
You guys could be friends.
Yeah. I could trade email.
Oh my gosh, it would be so
Can you imagine?
And then we could have had both of you on the show today.
I know.
Because that wouldn't have been weird.
Opportunities. We could all be talking about Hiddlesbum together. Delightful. He's great.
Oh my gosh! But you guys will have to watch
as always. Yeah, we'll have that linked on electricfeast.com so that you guys at home and Leah at wherever she has internet can check it out, because he's just so charming. And he talks about also like Night Managers coming out, and he's showing his rear in that. And
I just don't understand like how he is so charming. Like so charming. Like everything about him just like oozes it.
Like, can you be real?
I feel like he's not
real.
He's not real. Yeah. Like, he's a figment. Like, we just dreamt him up out of our dreams of charmingness.
Leah,
he is.
If he were in one of your books, you had a character you wrote as Tom Hiddleston, and he had some, like, he clearly is not real. There's something about him that's off. What is it? What is Tom Hiddleston's secret?
Too perfect?
It's like it's too much. Like
no, I don't know. It's just off-putting how perfect.
Right. Like it's got to be like a Stepford thing or something, right?
Right. Like he's actually a robot.
Yeah, he's like a robot or like a vampire or something. I don't know. We're on to you, Hiddles.
Only Lovers, even in Only Lovers Left Alive, he was perfect, even though he was a vampire.
And Crimson Peak, even in Crimson Peak. I mean, think about it. Crimson Peak was a good one. Like he's so perfect, and you're like, but there's something off about him, and then you're like, there it is.
And then it's really off.
It's really off. It's so off.
And yet you're still going, I don't care.
Right? Yeah, right? And yet I still am like, I love you. And Mia, like, of course you went. Of course that happened. Like,
yeah.
I would have made the same choice as you. I would have made the same choice as you.
Oh, boy. Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Do we have to? Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to stop.
Okay, can I boop in before the question is over if I know it?
Well, because you're on a delay, I think you should. I think you should.
That's
normally
a good point.
I say wait.
She always yells at me for that, but I think that's a good point because you are a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll work that way. Okay. So we talked a few months ago about the upcoming zombie boy band thriller coming to Sci-Fi. Today, BuzzFeed released what special tidbit from the movie?
Ring! I couldn't tell if you were gonna beep in or not.
I know. I was like, is she not? Kristin.
They released the theme song called "In the End" from the movie Dead 7, featuring artists from the top. I mean, not only like the top, but then also like tier 3. Okay, all of the tiers, A, B, and C pools from this tournament have been featured in this theme song, you guys. Okay, we've got people from NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and O-Town. O-Town. It's not actually Angel, but it is the...
Oh, my goodness.
Obviously. But you guys, and it's perfectly a boy band song. Like, it's
up there with, like, I'd put it with Incomplete by Backstreet Boys. Like,
I mean, it's bananas how boy band this song. It was like I was in 7th grade.
really?
I'm like, is this a lost track from 1998? Like, what's happening?
Now, Leah,
this is
were
a
you a boy band fan in your heyday, or are you now, as I am still?
Yes, it is technically a Western.
I was and still am a huge Hanson fan.
Atta girl.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've
bought their new albums. I think they're awesome. Everybody makes fun of me, but I don't care.
How dare
I still
they?
have a Hanson t-shirt from like 1997, so there's no shame in
jealous.
that game. The thing was, it was my cousin all got to see them, and I didn't, but they brought me back a t-shirt, and so I was pretty cool amongst my peers. But except that, here's the thing. So, as you know, as a Hanson fan, it's never actually been cool to be a Hanson fan.
Has it?
Even when they were really popular, it was like still not that cool. And so a couple of the girls in my grade who were like more like legit popular than I was. I went to kind of a school where everyone sort of social butterflied, but like still you knew who the people who were like pretty and shopped were versus like me. And so I was hanging out with those girls and we all liked Hanson, but they didn't want the boys they liked to know that they liked Hanson. And so
they would
talk. Man. Be yourself. They should. Right? You should have them read.
I'm going to send them all copies of your books. But so they would refer to Third Eye Blind when they were really talking about Hanson. And every now and again I'd get confused because I really liked Third Eye Blind too. And so then I didn't know what we were talking about and I'd slip up and they would get really mad at me. And that's probably why I was never fully popular. I couldn't get my Hanson Third Eye Blind straight. But there are no Hanson members in this. Actually,
thank God.
Did you see like a week or two ago that Hanson said that no one covers Bop correctly?
No, I didn't even know people covered Bop. Who covers it?
Yeah, apparently a lot of people have. Like they were listing bands that have covered Bop, like live, not like on albums.
Okay.
You know. And so they were talking about.
Of course, they can't cover it properly.
Yeah, and they're like, everyone gets the like syncopation of the chorus wrong. So they're like, we're still waiting on someone to like properly do it. They're like, we feel like Bruno Mars could probably totally nail it. But they're like, everyone else always gets it wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna call out your like dream person to cover one of your songs, obviously he's gonna do it. He can cover anybody probably.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
He's so adorable, and you just wanna. You're so cute, Bruno Mars.
Right? You just want to like put him in your pocket and have him sing songs as you walk around.
Mm-hmm. When he did the like sad mouse thing on SNL, I was like, it's official. Bruno Mars is my favorite.
He's the best. He is the best.
He's just a little gosh. But all that to say, In the End came out, and if you're wondering, these specific members are exactly the members you would think took part in this. You've got Joey Fatone and Chris Kirkpatrick. JC Chazé still thinks he's too cool for this kind of stuff. Yeah. Nick Carter, Howie Doro, and AJ McLean of Backstreet Boys, Jeff Timmons of 98 Degrees, and Eric Michael Estrada of O-Town. It's a delight, and it brings me back to those days of like, do you remember the movie On the Line, the Lance Bass
movie? Gosh, do I only have the soundtrack? We want On the Line to show you. On the line. You guys. And they had that song called Under You, which is like so inappropriate, but so amazing. I was like,
oh
you
man.
are like the kings of these innuendo songs. Like, remember that song Under My Tree on their Christmas album? Which you're like, two become one? And I'm like singing it, and then later I'm like, two become one under my tree? We want Santa to see? This is a very dirty song, in sync. Like, how dare you?
I remember
Anyway.
what that just reminded me, the two become one thing reminded me of learning the meaning of Spice Girls two become one, and that someone pointed out that like it's all about like safe sex because it's like, you know, be a little bit wiser, put it on. Like they're talking about condoms.
Yeah, you're like, oh, huh. Anyway, that all to say, yes, hell yes, I remember On the Line.
Yeah, and
Of course
like, those,
I do.
Those super boy band and pop star things at that time. Like, so On the Line, like the theme song had Mandy Moore. It had like
Moore.
True Vibe. It was obviously Lance, and was Joey in on that too?
Oh yeah,
like,
Lance and Joey starred in it, and then like if there was like a weird like end scene that had like Justin and then it just like begrudgingly being in it, you know?
Right. Yeah. Just be like, we support friends. This is in our contract. But so this song, if you do like boy bands, I don't know if it's necessarily along the Hanson lines. It's more along like if you like your Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty
no one compares to Hanson. So.
You guys,
it's
wait.
It's just another game. Oh yes.
I love it.
Don't worry, guys. It's by the On the Line All Stars.
Oh god.
You guys, we should just thank my mom really quick because for my birthday she got me an iPod Touch that holds 128 gigs of music, so that I can randomly, when talking about On the Line, bring up the theme song from it.
You know, it's funny too because technically I have this whole soundboard set up that if I just pulled that up on my phone, I could play it through this system and it would sound awesome. But I like the way you did it.
Obviously, that was better for me to be like, I tried to hold it up to my earphones at first. I'm like, that's not how that's going to work. How does this work? Technology.
What sends and receives sounds through this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this thing works.
That's right.
Anyway.
You'll get there. You'll get there. But that was a delightful interlude. I like that you pulled up that, though. You didn't pull up, like, the actual song that we're talking about.
That was On the Line? That was the song I sang.
No, I meant the boy band one.
Oh,
the boy band.
Yeah. Well, we're going to link to that. People can listen to that later. People probably don't have instant access to On the Line, and they wanted to hear it, so you're welcome.
That's a good point. You've done your public service for today.
You're welcome,
with that.
Fancavers.
But yeah, the Sci-Fi Channel movie comes out in like 3 days or something like that. I'm totally gonna watch it, even though it's going to be terrible.
Oh, I really want to watch it. I don't even have that channel. I should have my dad tape it.
Yeah, tape it.
It's the night Corey. Record it.
I had the same thought. I was like, tape it. That's so cute. I remember that.
A friend of mine, a week or two ago, we were sitting around and watching TV, and he told me that he would watch Batman vs. Superman when it came out on VHS. I was like,
Bless.
What?
I don't think you're gonna be seeing that movie then.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting a long time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while until some hipster figures out how to port it to VHS.
That would just.
I almost called it DSL. I'm like, there's too many letters.
What? It's fine. All right. What else we got, girl?
Next question. On that note, Ben Affleck's reaction to an uncouth interview question last week led the whole wide internet to embracing what tragic meme?
Boop.
Hey, what is it, Leah?
Sad Ben Affleck or something?
Sad Affleck or Sad Ben Affleck. Correct. Woo! Leah's on the board.
Nailed it. Crushed it.
You want to tell us a little about what that's about? Did you get a chance to see it?
The movie?
Leah? Sorry. No, I mean the Sad Affleck. Or the movie, for that matter. Did you see the movie?
No. No.
No. No.
I mean, I should have.
Like, should you have?
Yeah.
The movie, I just saw a fact. Someone did this, like a random blogger, journalist, or something, discovered that this was like the largest Friday to Sunday like flop. Like, so what do you call it when it changes from high to low? Drop?
Decline?
Decline in ticket sales in any superhero movie ever, including Fantastic Four. No movie has ever gone from the amount like that it made on Friday to so low. It was like 54% ticket drop between Friday and Sunday. And sorry to Matt Vest for even mentioning this, because I know that makes him sad. But yeah, it didn't go well. And so in this, Leah, did you see the sad Affleck meme in action?
No, I don't think so. If I did, it was in quick passing, and I was like, haha.
I love that you know this stuff, though. Like, you're like, I may not have seen it, but I know what's on the internet.
I know what's going on.
Yeah, your fingers on the pulse. An interviewer, and this seems like a weird thing to do. It's in like a press junket, which they usually do like a bajillion of during the day. And the guy asks, and you can tell by the way he asks it that he knows he shouldn't be asking this question. That, like, he's like, how do you feel, basically, about the fact that this movie is getting terrible reviews?
I want to talk about that for just a second.
Okay, here. Get on it.
Here's the thing. So I actually watched up until he started saying that, and then I had to stop because I'm like, first of all, I do not endorse that question. That is a terrible thing to ask somebody, first of all. How do you even answer that? Like, how do you think? It's kind of like when they interview the losers after, like, the Olympics or the Super Bowl, and they're like, oh, how are you feeling right now? And they're like, yeah, pretty crappy. We just lost. And it's like, hey, how do you feel that everybody hates this movie? It's like, yeah, not great, obviously. Obviously, we don't feel great. We wish people liked it because they probably I would assume they wanted to make it. Maybe. I mean, Ben wanted to make it. Maybe Henry was contractually obligated to make it. I don't know. Either way, the thing is, like, you don't ask somebody that question. That's just rude and mean. Rude. And if you're going to be at a junket and you want to ask them a question nobody's asked them, I don't know. Ask them what their favorite flavor of Capri Sun is, or something really random that's, like, not mean. Because there's no way that that's going to end well. And I feel like they're already at this is already crazy whirlwind thing. You've spent a lot of time. There's a lot of money been put into it. And to ask that question, I just thought was awful. And so I'm like, I'm not even going to endorse this. And then the fact it kept popping up and people kept sending it to me, I was like, it's too awkward. I don't even want to see it. And I also just think that was wrong of that person. Just come on, like. That was the question you asked. You could have asked anything. Like, ask them about if there's going to be, horses or hounds in the movie.
I just watched that movie the other day.
Like,
were there any horses in it?
It takes place in space. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, it's a superhero movie. I mean, I don't know. I just was very upset with that person. I don't even know them, and I feel like their mother probably called them later and was like, "Hey, not cool, dude.
Not nice.
Not nice.
If you don't have anything nice to ask, don't ask anything at all.
Or ask a nicer question. Just ask something kinder. Like, I don't know. I was just not impressed by that at all. I thought that was very upsetting for me.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I just
want to say, how rude. Don't do that. Poor Ben.
You don't really get to see what the response is in the meme version of it, because then, of course, it goes into, hello, darkness, my old friend, and zooms in on Ben Affleck, just sort of looking like he's, like, reflecting on his life and just looking sad as Henry Cavill answers the question, and then it comes back, and you just see Ben look up and go, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. But it is, like, someone edited in, like, scenes from Daredevil, so it looks like he's thinking about Daredevil.
Don't hold that against him, you guys. Think of the, see, that's the bummer, is that people often forget of the great things that Ben has done in between those things.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I'm a big Ben fan, as we know, so...
No. I mean, honestly, I want to see the movie. My brother went and saw it, and he's like, I fell asleep. I was like, okay, he falls asleep during everything, so I don't really count that for him. But I was like, honestly, I want to go see it because I still want to see Gal Gadot in it. Be awesome.
Oh, yeah. I want to go. I think I'm going to go see it at the drive-in. because then I can like talk and like eat pizza and whatever,
See, that's
and then
good
like appreciate it.
I want to try and find a time of day where there's nobody seeing it. So maybe if I can find a time where there's not a lot of.
Well, that's apparently all the time now.
Well, see, maybe I'll be in luck because I do still want to see it, and also like those jaw lines were meant to be on the big screen. It's just I don't feel like, as far as the universe goes, I could watch that at home. You know.
That's a really good point. That's good. Well,
I mean, both of them could cut glass, you guys.
It's true. Ugh.
Like Hiddle's cheekbones.
Talk about beauty. God, that guy's just so wonderful.
All right. I've got one more.
Okay.
One more question for you. Here we go. We all know Neville Longbottom grew up to be a certified heartthrob, but his buddy Daniel Radcliffe reminded us of his unassuming youth with a throwback photo of the two of them at what sporting event?
Ring!
Yeah, got that one.
That was me?
Yeah, that was you.
Was it at a wrestling? I've seen this picture just recently. It's at a wrestling sporting event, right?
It is.
It is at a wrestling sporting event.
Talk about an old. When she said she was an old fogey earlier, I was like, "No, you're not." She's like, "Oh, at a wrestling sporting event, I believe."
She's actually from another planet.
Yeah, a wrestling match.
No, but it's like WrestleMania. Wasn't it WrestleMania?
It was WWF Insurrection.
Oh, Insurrection. See, I even got that wrong. There's so many.
It's
like
WWF.
SummerSlam.
That's
what is it? There's just so many. Yeah, WWF.
Wrestling is huge. I mean, that stuff's huge down here, especially when I was growing up, and I did not like it. I was like, that's stupid, it's fake. I watched that, so I never got into it. I don't know, WrestleMania, the big belts, cup, I don't know.
I know, I know people, and one of my good friends named Will Pruitt, he writes for like a wrestling website, and like, it's about the story. He managed to get his wife into it, who's just this darling woman, and she's like all about it. And so, because I hear so much about it, I'm like, I'm gonna try to watch it. And so then I tried to like watch like a Monday Night Raw or whatever, and I was like, I feel like if you haven't been watching this religiously for 25 years,
it's hard.
I don't know how you'd get into this.
Yeah, it's hard to come in. It's like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly like that. It's exactly like that. You need someone to introduce you to get you like kind of into who the story and explain the backstories, and then
and more power to anyone who finds that awesome. Yeah. There was a Supernatural episode, like the last couple episodes, that was about wrestling.
Oh my gosh! Can we just brag for a second? The writer of that episode is John Bring of Penguins vs. Possums.
What?
Our good friends. Yes. So he wrote the wrestling episode of Supernatural.
That's a great episode.
I haven't seen it.
I love that episode.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. The Fancave can call ourselves friends of a Supernatural writer now, too.
We can!
Degrees of Dean Winchester.
Winchester. Oh my gosh. I love that.
Isn't that great?
It's funny that
it's a big deal.
It's funny because so Daniel Radcliffe, I post this picture of him and Matthew
Lewis.
I was going to call him Neville Longbottom. Thank you. I was totally blanking on his real name. And they're sitting kind of like front row, and there's these people behind them that are clearly very into wrestling, and they seem to not really be prepared for where they are, and it's adorable.
Yeah, especially Matthew Lewis.
Looks I mean, he looks so much like Neville, like the Neville you remember of like the horrified Neville. It's like someone had stupefied him, and he's like,
yeah, it almost looks photoshopped.
Yeah, it does kind of a little bit. Like, apparently the guys weren't really there, and it's so wonderful, and it's great because The Rock actually has just done like kind of a throwback today on his Instagram. Who's like got like my favorite Instagram. I love it. It's just so irreverent sometimes. But he has this great, thing about like when he first started out in wrestling and this whole kind of like origin story of him being a wrestler, and I'm like, I remember how wonderful it was because they do. There's like villains and there's heroes and they have all of these. I don't know. I just thought they were so much fun, and so I love the picture because I'm like, oh gosh, I felt so bad for them because I'm like, oh, I remember I'd never actually been to an actual event, but my brother and I would watch it on TV. But I remember being those people who were like so into it and like yelling at the screen, and these poor little boys. I'm like, was anybody with them? They seem to be all alone.
Like, drop them off there?
Yeah, did someone just leave them at this like American like cesspool? Like, what's happening?
That literally had to have been the most American thing they'd ever done at that point. Like,
well, and I'm
which
like,
is
don't
why they look
judge,
so scared.
right? I'm like, and don't judge America by what's happening here, boys. Like, there are other nicer things about America.
Yeah.
But what? And speaking of Matthew Lewis,
we'll link to that.
Oh yeah, we'll link to that. And then, side note, speaking of Matthew Lewis, he's going to be in that new movie, Me Before You, the one with Sam Claflin.
Was that the Sam Claflin one? I'm afraid to watch the trailer.
Oh my gosh, I watch it too much, and I don't want to watch the movie because I know it's going to be so like heart-wrenchingly sad. So I'm just going to watch the trailer because it's happy. The trailer's happy, you know? But Emilia Clarke, now I don't watch Game of Thrones.
No, me neither.
And I know probably this character is like the complete opposite of her character from Game of Thrones. But her character is perfection. Like, whoever she is being is so magical and wonderful. She's like telling him this story, and she's like, when I was a kid, my favorite. And she's like telling this story, and I'm like, I want to hold you forever. I want to be your friend. I want you to tell me this story. I can't handle it. And so I love it. But I don't know if I want to watch the movie because it looks so sad. But anyway, Matthew Lewis is in the movie. He plays her brother, I think, or something.
I do love him.
Like, it's still weird because I'm like, oh, you're hot now. So weird. What's happening?
But I follow him on Instagram, so, you know, I see him all the time, and I'm like, I feel weird about it, but I also feel good about it.
Yeah, but also, I'm okay with it.
So there we go. We have ended in a tie this fine day. Well played.
Well done.
Yeah.
This is me shaking your hand.
Yeah. Before we head out, Leah, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on Facebook under Leah Rae Miller. I have a page there. I'm on Twitter. I am on Instagram. I'm going to get my Tumblr started back up here soon, I think. I need to work on that.
Yeah. It's hard to keep those up. It's like either you're 100% dedicated and you lose your day to it, or you don't look at it for 8 months.
And I'm always really concerned about posting inappropriate things, since what I'm known for is young adults.
Yeah, sure.
And Tumblr can be kind of...
Totally understand.
So I'm always concerned.
Yeah. And the book comes out April 5th, and it's everywhere, in all the bookstores.
Yes, it is.
And there's a giveaway right now on Goodreads, isn't there?
On Goodreads. Oh.
Yep. And, I mean, we were going to do a giveaway here, right?
And I totally forgot to come up with them. Hey, how about, let's see, what can we do? Oh, go ahead.
We should do some kind of quiz from one of the books or something, some kind of trivia from the first book.
Both.
Right? Or no? I don't know. Is that bad?
Wait, and we can. How about we'll put it on. We'll come up with a good question. Everyone who's paying attention, and we'll put it on our Twitter, and people can respond to it there. And it'll be something that we talked about here. Perhaps something about Leah's favorite boy band, or something of that nature. Something you will have to listen to Leah talk about here.
Yes, that's good. I like that.
Oh.
Leah, yes.
No, go. What?
No, I was going to say I know a lot of Hansen trivia. Okay, here it is. Here it is. The answer to the question, what is Hansen's beer brand that they
I actually know
producing?
the answer to that.
Well, you don't get to answer it, Corey.
I want the book. People are always stealing mine.
Do I go ahead and answer it?
Okay. What's that?
Should I go ahead and answer? Should I go ahead and give the answer, or should I just make people search?
People should have to answer it on the Tweety. So you can listen to here, or we'll tweet it out, and whoever is the first to tell us the answer to this question, whether you listened live, you listened later, or you saw it on there, will win a copy of Romancing the Nerd, and you will be very pleased with this.
And the summer I became a nerd.
And The Summer I Became a Nerd. Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, you guys! You should Google the answer if you don't know it right now, because seriously, this is the best thing that has ever happened to you.
Oh man, so if you know what the name of Hanson's beer brand is, tweet us at Electric Fan Cave, and you will win copies of Leah's books that are amazing.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even really explain to you in words. I need your thesaurus, I think, maybe, Leah, to explain to you how big of a deal this is.
I'm so excited. Okay, well, on that note then, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Leah, thank you so much for joining us once again. We love having you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a blast.
Yeah. Thank you for writing our favorite books. I just love them so much.
I'll challenge you on Quiz Up a few in the near future. Now they got a new phone, and it would be great. To all of you at home, thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you rate and review us on iTunes, The Electric Fan Cave. Go to the blog at electricfeast.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podbean, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to it, download, share with your friends, and go out and check out Leah's books. They are awesome. The Summer I Became a Nerd and Romancing the Nerd. You won't regret it. We've already had many of our listeners check it out and love it. So between us and them, no, we would not lie to you. Mm-hmm. So for the Electric Fan Cave this week, I'm Corgan Vaughn.
I'm Kristin Lateral.
And I'm Leah Miller.
Peace out, everybody.
Take it easy, kids.